Victorian Christmas. Did you know that many of the traditions that we celebrate now at Christmas were started in the Victorian era? During the Victorian era, Christmas became a major holiday and was celebrated with great enthusiasm. Tradition 1. Christmas trees. What do you think of when someone says Christmas to you? Okay, well, second after presents. I bet it's Christmas trees. But did you know that Christmas trees weren't used as decorations in England until the Victorian era? Decorating the Christmas trees became popular when Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert, decorated their palaces with the German tradition of Christmas trees. Prince Albert loved Christmas and he loved his family, and very quickly the idea of Christmas trees became linked with family togetherness. Christmas trees were first decorated with homemade ornaments such as paper chains, popcorn strings and gingerbread cookies. These ornaments were often made by family members themselves. They also were often adorned with candles, which were lit on Christmas Eve. However, this posed a significant fire hazard and many accidents occurred due to the flammable nature of the decorations. The trees were usually placed in the main living area of the house, such as the parlour or drawing room, and were often the centrepieces of the Christmas celebrations. They weren't as big as the trees you may have in your home today, being only tabletop sized. They would be decorated with small gifts such as sweets, small toys or trinkets, which hung on the branches. These gifts were usually for the children of the family. Tradition 2. Decorations. The Victorians loved to decorate their homes for Christmas. In fact, families would spend weeks and sometimes even months making their own Christmas decorations. Families would create intricate paper chains, paper snowflakes and paper lanterns to hang around the house. Holly and ivy were used to decorate homes. Mistletoe would be hung to bring good luck, and couples would kiss under the mistletoe at parties. Doors would be decorated with Christmas wreaths made from evergreen branches, holly, berries, ribbons and bows. Garlands were made from evergreen branches as well, or used ivy or laurel to decorate staircases, mantels and banisters. Ornaments for Christmas trees were often made from delicate materials like glass, porcelain or metal. Tinsel was introduced during the Victorian era and was draped over the Christmas trees and other decorations to add a shimmering effect. Nativity scenes were commonly displayed in Victorian homes during Christmas. These scenes depicted the birth of Jesus, with figurines representing Mary, Joseph, the baby Jesus and other biblical characters. Tradition 3. Christmas cards. The tradition of sending Christmas cards began with a man named Henry Cole, who sent the first Christmas card in 1843. It very quickly became popular, and Victorians all wanted to send to loved ones cards to celebrate the holiday season. At first, Christmas cards were handcrafted and very expensive. This meant they were a luxury item that only the rich could afford. But as technology progressed and printing presses were able to mass-produce cards, they became cheaper and more affordable for all the social classes to send. They would show intricate designs of traditional holiday scenes like winter landscapes, festive gatherings or religious scenes. They would contain warm wishes for the holiday season and the coming year. At first, Christmas cards would be hand-delivered, but as the postal system improved during the Victorian era, people were able to send the cards through the mail and to loved ones who lived further away. The popularity of Christmas cards grew rapidly during the Victorian era, and by the end of the 19th century they had become a widely accepted and cherished tradition. Today, sending Christmas cards remains a popular practice during the holiday season. Tradition 4. Carol singing. Carol singing was a popular activity during the Victorian era. Groups of people would go door to door, singing traditional carols and spreading holiday cheer. Families and friends would gather together to sing in their homes, churches, or town squares. Sometimes they'd use instruments such as violins or flutes while singing. Favourite carols included O Holy Night, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and Silent Night. Carol singers would collect money for charities, carrying hats or boxes to keep the money in. Some would also sell printed booklets containing the carol's lyrics and sheet music for others to follow. The tradition of carol singing in the Victorian era helped revive and popularise many traditional carols that had fallen out of favour. It played a significant role in preserving and passing down these songs to future generations. Tradition 5. Christmas food. Christmas feasts were elaborate affairs with families spending out on the best foods they could afford. The dinner would have several courses, with a range of dishes, including soups, fish and seafood, a main course of roasted meat with side dishes, and then puddings. The centrepiece of the feast would be roasted meat, often roast beef or goose. Richer families would indulge in more expensive meats, such as venison, turkey or pheasant. Side dishes included roasted vegetables, potatoes, stuffing, gravy and sauces. As well as mince pies, gingerbread and trifles, puddings would also include plum puddings, fruit cakes and Christmas puddings. These would be made with spices and dried fruits and soaked in alcohol such as brandy. They'd be set on fire when being served as an exciting spectacle. The table would be decorated with the finest china the families owned, silverware and crystal glassware. They'd also have displays including candles, hollies and flowers. How do these Victorian Christmas dinners compare with your family's traditions? Tradition 6. Christmas crackers. Do you love peeling crackers at Christmas dinner? We sure do. Did you know that the tradition of Christmas crackers began in the Victorian era? A man named Tom Smith invented the first Christmas cracker in 1847. He was inspired by French bonbon sweets. Tom Smith was a confectioner in London who made sweets himself. His original crackers were filled with sweets and love messages. Tom Smith's son Walter developed the idea of crackers containing the bang sound when you pull them. He was inspired by the crackling sound of a log in the fire and created an explosive device called a snap, which he placed in the crackers. Victorian crackers then began to contain colourful hats, small trinkets and toys. Wealthier people would have more luxurious crackers with jewellery, miniature tools and miniature perfume bottles. The crackers would be placed on the dinner table and each guest would have a cracker placed next to their plate. They'd pull it with the person sitting next to them, and the person with the larger portion of the cracker would keep the contents. Victorian Christmas crackers were often beautifully decorated with intricate designs and patterns. They were typically made from coloured paper and adorned with ribbons, bows and festive illustrations. Tradition 7. Gift giving. The Victorians loved gifting Christmas presents to show their love and appreciation for each other. Victorian gifts were often handmade and personalised. Popular Victorian gifts included handmade items, embroidered handkerchiefs, lace doolies and knitted scarves. Books, including classic literature, poetry and children's books. Toys and games, including toys and dolls made from wood, porcelain and cloth. Dolls' houses, rocking horses and tin soldiers were classic toys. Games included chess, checkers, backgammon, jigsaw puzzles and card games. Jewellery. Lockets, brooches, bracelets were decorated with gemstones or pearls. Cameo jewellery was also popular with carved portraits in the jewellery. Perfume and scented soaps, which were gifted in beautiful packaging or in ornamental boxes or bottles. Personalised items such as handkerchiefs, silverware and clothing would be decorated with people's initials. Gift hampers containing chocolates, nuts, dried fruits, wines, spirits and teas. Stationery and writing sets for writing letters including high-quality paper, envelopes and ink pens. Paintings of landscapes, portraits and still life scenes or photographs would be gifted in fancy frames. Tradition 8. Charity and giving. During the Victorian era, people became more aware of social injustices and those less fortunate than themselves. They became more interested in trying to help the poor. Christmas was a great time to do this, and Victorian Christmas charity giving included donating money, food, clothing and necessary items to local charities. Alms boxes which were placed in churches and public spaces which were collecting donations. They would be filled with food and clothing. Organising Christmas dinners in community centres for the poor so that they could have a warm meal and join in on the celebrations. Visiting workhouses, hospitals and orphanages to bring gifts and sing to the people staying there. Organised fundraising events such as charity balls, concerts and bazaars. The money raised would be given to the charities. Donating money to charities trying to help the poor and homeless. Selling Christmas cards and giving the money raised to charities. Donating money and goods to missions abroad, particularly in countries facing poverty or natural disasters. Donating their skills or time by volunteering at charity organisations such as soup kitchens. Tradition 9. Entertainment. Victorian Christmas celebrations included various forms of entertainment. Families would gather to play games, tell stories, and perform plays or puppet shows. Christmas pantomimes and concerts were also popular forms of entertainment during this time. Victorian parlour games were a popular form of entertainment during the Victorian era. These games were typically played indoors, in the parlour or the drawing room, and provided amusement for both children and adults. Popular Victorian parlour games included charades. Charades was a beloved Victorian parlour game that involved acting out a word or a phrase without speaking, while others tried to guess what it was. Blind Man's Bluff. Blind Man's Bluff was a game of tag where one person would be blindfolded and try to catch the other players. The blindfolded person relied on their sense of touch and hearing to locate the tag and the other players. Musical chairs. Musical chairs is a classic game that involves arranging chairs in a circle with one less chair than the number of players. When the music plays, participants walk around the chairs, and when the music stops, they must find a seat. The person left standing is eliminated and a chair is removed. The game continues until only one person remains. Sardines. Sardines is a variation of hide and seek. One person hides and the others try to find them. However, when someone discovers a hiding person, they quietly join them in their hiding spot. The game continues until everyone is hiding together like sardines. The Minister's Cat. The Minister's Cat is a word game where players take turns describing the Minister's cat, using adjectives that start with each letter of the alphabet. For example, the Minister's cat is an adorable cat, a beautiful cat, a clever cat, and so on. The challenge is to come up with unique adjectives for each letter. Pass the slipper. Pass the slipper is a game similar to hot potato. Participants sit in a circle and pass a slipper or small object from one person to another while music plays. When the music stops, the person holding the slipper is out. The game continues until only one person remains. Fortune telling. Victorian parlour games often included fortune-telling activities. These could involve reading tea leaves, palmistry, or using special fortune-telling cards. Participants would take turns having their fortunes told, adding an element of mystery and intrigue to the gathering. Victorian parlour games provided entertainment, laughter and social interaction during the era. They encouraged creativity, imagination and friendly competition, making them popular pastime for families and friends to enjoy together. Tradition 10. Candles. Candles were an important part of the Christmas celebrations during the Victorian times. In the Victorian era, people didn't have electricity like we do today, so they used candles to light up their homes, especially during special occasions like Christmas. Candles were made of wax and had a small wick in the middle. When the wick was lit, the wax melted and the flame burned, giving off a warm and cosy light. Families would decorate their homes with lots of candles. They'd place them on the Christmas tree, on the mantelpiece and even in the windows. It made everything look magical and festive. But using candles wasn't as easy as flipping a switch like we do now. It required a lot of care and attention. People had to be very careful not to knock over the candles or let them burn too close to something that could catch fire. They had to make sure that the candles were always supervised and blown out before going to bed. Sometimes families would gather around the Christmas tree in the evening and light the candles together. It was a special moment when the whole room would glow with the soft light of the candles. They would sing carols, exchange gifts and enjoy the warm and cosy atmosphere. Today we have electric lights that are much safer and easier to use, but we can still remember and appreciate the tradition of using candles during Christmas in Victorian times. It reminds us of the simple and beautiful ways people celebrated the holiday long ago. So next time you see a candle during Christmas, remember how important they were in Victorian times and how they added a special touch to the holiday celebrations.